Well, again, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I don't know where you are from, and I see some familiar names and some that I don't know. Welcome. All right. I want to actually start with just for some of you who don't know me, and my name is Rain, and just to give you a little bit of my background, I won't be doing much of that because I want to jump into straight about some sharings and teachings that I would like to do today. Those of you who don't know me, long story short, I used to be an entrepreneur. Ironically, now I'm in a spiritual teacher sharing spirituality, doing healing as a healer. Um, how did I get to this path? Well, I think it's more because of my own journey of trauma, my own journey of, my life felt like it was meaningless, despite that I did everything I was told to do in this world. And because of that journey of seeking, I'm here today. So that's kind of briefly about it. You want to know more about me, go read up on my website or my social media. I would like to just dive in really quickly today. So before we do that, I would like to invite each of you to just close your eyes for a moment as we're going to take this moment just to connect to our heart, connect to source before I begin. Okay. All right. Let's close your eyes and take a deep breath, everybody. And as you take a deep breath, I would like you to just see visually as you breathe in. There's this bright light connecting from your mind to your heart. And as it connects, it brings connection to your heart that you know you're deeply connected to yourself right now at this moment. And as you take another deep breath, I want you to see this bright light coming from the top of your head, drawing into your mind, to your heart, connecting to all parts of your body, knowing that you're also connected to the source, which is you, connecting to the wisdom that is you as well. So for whatever I'm sharing, it is your wisdom too today. And as you exhale, let go, release anything you want to let go so that you can be fully present here, fully connected to your heart. And as you take another deep breath, another deep breath, and the light coming through from the top of your head, connecting to your heart, connecting to all parts of your body. This light connecting to all those that are here today, all those that are around you, wherever you are, connected to all things around you, wherever you are, connected to all being, knowing that we're all connected, connected to Mother Earth, to the sun, to the universe, to all which is one. And exhale, let go, with a last sigh. And stay in this place as you connect deeply and deeper into your heart, which is you, which is source, which is wisdom. Okay, you may gently open your eyes. All right. So here's how it's going to go today. I'm going to be sharing a couple of things I wanted to share. I've been sitting with it and sitting with what wants to come true, what's usually I tuned in to the few and see, what's the messages that wants to come through. And then if we have time, I'll open up some time for questions, any questions you want to ask. And then, I'll do my best to answer them and then we'll end the session. So my intention is to finish about 10:30-ish. Okay. All right. So today, the topic that I want to talk about, which is a big topic, I think this is a question that people ask over and over and over and over again. Why human beings suffer? But before we go to that topic, um, uh, I also want to talk about why you're here. Okay. I wanted to start with that because, you know, there's many reasons why some of you are here, right? So actually, why are you here? What are you looking for? Is it because you're yearning for something? Is it because there's an inner calling, that there's curiosity about something, or you're missing something, right? Because many a times for a lot of us, yeah, we're seeking and we wonder, what we're seeking too. We don't know what we're seeking. So I actually want you to take a moment and ask yourself, what's the reason you're here today on this session? Like, is it because there's a yearning? Is it because you're tired? You're tired of whatever's going on in your life, pretending, performing, pushing, seeking approval, or maybe because you're tired of pain that won't go away, it won't resolve. Or is it because you're afraid? Because that there's uncertainty, unknown. You want to know so that you can feel more certain, what's next, what's life about, what's afterlife, right? Maybe for some of us, we are here because we want to understand more, how to stop some of the cycles, how to stop living meaninglessly, how to stop the exhaustion. Yeah. But here's the thing, for me, you're here. This is again my interpretation, may not be exactly the same. Yeah. Is you're seeking because there's a part of you is awakening and it wants to remember what's the reason you came to this planet, what's the reason you're here, and what you're here to do. Okay. So I'll give you a metaphor. And I want to start this way because I really want you to actually ponder. Some of you don't know me. A lot of my work, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to awaken and to work with you, to remind you, so that you can remember who you are. And from there, through your own sovereignty, to your own authority, you decide how to live your life. Okay. Yes, I'm here to share with you some principles, some concepts, some of the things that I've gone through, some of the things that I've learned. Yet at the same time, you're here because of you. You're in this life because of you. You are the one living your life, right? So a lot of my teaching and sharing is to empower you. Okay. So let's come back to what I started with. I started with talking about there's a reason you're seeking. There's a reason you're here. I mean, why would you spend an hour and a half sitting here, right? You could go and play, go watch a movie, yet you're here. And the reason is, like I said, the seeking is because your soul is wanting to remember, right? So I'll give you an analogy. Imagine you're born with this inner compass, this compass that's quiet, that's wise, that's always pointing to the truth. But somewhere along the way, and yes, somewhere along the way, because of the way how we operate, how this body operates here in this planet, right? We started following somebody else's map. The map that they tell us, be successful this way. This is how you get love. You got to be better, right? This is how to be safe. But the thing is this compass never stopped pulsing, right? And when the map doesn't match the truth anymore, then you start to feel this nudge, this yearning, this wanting, and something is not working. Well, that's what happened to me. I knew something wasn't working because I followed that map. I was told, right? And then through that journey of wanting to find and to understand how come I'm feeling all this pain and hurt and I don't understand, it doesn't go away. And that's how I found me. And so that's why you're here. You're seeking to return to what's real, and you're seeking to return to you. So I just wanted to start with that to kind of have you reflect, right? Have you reflect. And I know, in our community, a lot of are also very curious about spiritual guides and all that. We'll get to that topic, maybe not today, another talk. Yet I just want to start with that seeking first, that yearning, that curiosity, that wanting. Yeah. And so let's come back to the topic I want to talk about. And again, if you have a question, you can ask me towards the end. Why do humans suffer? Right. I mean, this is like many religions talk about it, and again, this, the difference between religion and spirituality teaching for me is in some religion, there's a little bit, and they have a lot of, I would say, I call them rituals. Yeah. Meaning steps to do things. Here's how to do it. Yet some of them have a lot of dogmas, which is very rigid. There's no freedom in, your expression. And so the difference is spirituality is really guided by spirit, right? And who is the spirit, which is you. Okay, we'll talk a bit about this a bit later. But let's come back to the topic. So this topic is asked many years, and Buddha discover how to alleviate suffering, right? But I actually want to start in a different way. So when we ask the question, why do human beings suffer? I want to ask you to think, what does suffering even mean first? Like when you use the word suffering, what does it mean to you? So let's not even start with the question, what do humans suffer? Why do humans suffer? But what does suffering even mean? Let's take a step back, right? What does suffering actually even means? For one person, not having a home feels like suffering. But for another person, it doesn't feel that way, right? And for some people, when it's temporary, or I know some people, they rather be homeless, right? They don't feel like suffering. So, and for some people, it might be empowering. So, what is suffering, really, if you think about it? And, two people can go through the same event, the same incident, heartbreak, and, or maybe only one feels suffering, the other doesn't. So, what's the difference? So let's look at that a little bit more in depth, right? So let's think about poverty, because when I was preparing this, I was wanting to give you a little bit more example. So poverty, right? People who are poor. Yeah. So yes, they lack basic necessity, food, shelter, right? It is hardship. Like last year when I was in Bali, I went and visit people who lives at the slum, the garbage area. And yet, if you look at those kids there, they were fine. I mean, that's my experience with them. Yeah, they were fine. Of course, it's not a comfort in my perspective. Some of our perspective is not that comfortable, but for some of them, it's okay. So, what is suffering then from that perspective? Yeah. So, to me, the suffering is not because it's lack, but it's because how we perceive what's happening. So it could come from being shameful, being helpless, or the fear of the unknown. What if something's going to happen? I don't have a home. I don't have food, right? We're attached to all that. Yeah. And then that becomes suffering, right? Because there are people who have very little. And again, you see a lot of indigenous people, they don't need a lot. And you see actually a lot of spiritual teachers too, and gurus. In my journey, I thought I understood that. How come they are so simple? They don't need so much, right? Basic, and all they do is just simplicity. Yet, because they truly understand what true peace and joy is, right? And they have learned to let go of suffering. Yeah. So here's the thing, back to poverty. So the absence of material needs doesn't automatically create suffering. It is the meaning we give to that absence that creates suffering. Okay. So let's take another example, the death of loved ones. So this is there this topic is very real and very real to my heart, because the last year and a half, I have 5 very significant people pass away in my life, and even our cat, which is the first pet in the house. And so the loss is real, the pain is real, right? Because I lost all these people that's very important in my life. Because of them, I'm actually here right now. Without them, I'm not here today. And going through that process, did I grieve? Do I feel my emotion? Absolutely. Do I miss them? Absolutely. Yet I know they're not really gone. Physically, they're gone. Yet, again, back to the question of suffering. If we lose someone, suffering only comes when we're attached to the idea that they should still be here. Right? That it's us wanting to hold on to it. Yeah. So again, what's the definition of suffering? Right? Let's talk about breakups. Okay, this is probably a very common topic, especially when in a relationship, right? You're in a breakup. When breakup happens, yeah, we feel like we lost a part of us, and that's how we suffer, actually, right? We suffer because we feel like there's a part of us that's lost. In addition, we also interpret, and here's the meaning again, right? That we are not lovable, that's why they left us. We're not enough, that's why they left us. Or because we're unworthy of their love, that's why they left us. So again, it's the meaning we attach to the ending of that relationship. That's what creates the suffering, right? Now, is there heartache? Yeah, we feel it. Yeah, it's how you allow yourself to feel. It's about understanding, yes, that's part of the process. Well, it's not about holding on to that and holding on to that pain and keep repeating that story, right? Repeating that he or she left or they left, because that's what's creating the suffering. Okay. Now let's think about family too. Okay, I wanted to talk about this because this is so, true experience. I've learned quite a bit. Yeah. Family. Yeah. Do we have disagreements? Absolutely. Right. I have disagreements with my parents, my partner, my siblings, right, my children. We have different points of view, right? Ideas, concepts. Yeah. But when the suffering happens, it's when we feel misunderstood by them, not seen by them, not accepted by them, right? We don't look at the incident as is, it's how we interpret the incident. Yeah. And especially when people that we expect the most, to love us the most, to understand us the most, because you've been with me for so long, right? You should know me. How come you don't? You should love me this way. How come you don't? Right? And yes, we're a human being, right? We have, our human needs, especially the core fundamental needs, the initial needs, besides physiological, right? Food and water and all that. Our fundamental need is, first, we need safety. Then we need love and belonging, because we're a social being, human being. I mean, human being as social being. We don't operate ourselves individually, or operate as a group, right? And the need for certainty, right? We want to know, because the mind wants to know. That's why the mind tends to predict a lot. The mind predicts because it wants to avoid pain, right? So that wanting to know certainty, thinking that if we do things a certain way, we can control the situation, which we think is certain, but it's not. I mean, really, we don't know everything, right? So, but because of those needs, and that's how we start to, because we're not getting those needs met, especially like in relationships, and we start to interpret what is reflecting back to us. And that's how we keep creating suffering in our life. Okay. And, not belonging means we feel like maybe we're not accepted by them because we are a certain way. So here's the thing. Pain is real. Pain, you can feel it. Pain is there, but suffering, it's optional, right? It's what we put the meaning to the event. It's a story we tell about the event. It's a story and how we interpret what happens with the event. And we suffer when we're attached to the people, to the outcome, to our identities, to our expectations, and the way we think things should be, right? That's what our mind wants. Like I said, our mind think when we can control it, then it's more certain, right? But again, control is an illusion. It's not real. You can't really control, right? And I get it. It's not a bad thing because our ego wants to protect us. Yes. Yet, right? It's because when we start to cling on to all this, we start to operate a certain way, our behavior, our defense mechanism. That's what then creates the suffering. Okay. Because we keep thinking, what if only they shouldn't have, I should have, all that stuff. That's what's creating suffering. Now, I also ponder, rain, but there's war. Look at those kids. People are dying. I know. It makes my heart ache. Yeah, especially kids, when they go through all those events. Yet, again, is how we interpret. What can we do about those situations? Well, we all can do our part. How can we add value? How can we make a difference bit by bit? That's how we can create a change, right? But again, it's our attachment to the meaning of the event is what's creating the suffering. And here's the thing too. We are in a time where a lot of us are wealthier than the people who live at least in the early 1900s, right? I mean, we have cars, we have computers, we have internet, we can communicate. We have a cell phone, in the nick of the time, you can find information, call someone, connect. We have more comfort. We have better heating, better air condition, better clothing, like more technology, all this stuff. But the irony, if you look in the world today, we know that mental illness has increased, right? People are suffering more than ever. So how come? Really, how come? Take a moment for yourself to think about it. It's because we're more attached, actually. The more we have, the more attached we are. And the more we have, the more also, for some, we fear that we'll lose more. But the question is actually what we truly have. And these are questions that I pondered too. What do I truly have? All these material things, do they represent me? Are they me? So what do you have? Well, to me, is this being. That's what you have. Here and now, experiencing life. Everything else is just passing through. Like I told you, many people who pass away the last year and a half, it allowed me to sink deeper to understand that what death is, right? What it represents, and what loss represent. And I can again step into suffering, or I can choose to step into gratitude. Gratitude that they are here they were here. They supported me, they loved me, they cared for me, they guided me. Do I miss them? Absolutely. I do. Right. And back to the question, what do we truly have? It's you. What do you want to do with this being, this person, this soul, which I'll talk a bit more about this in a bit, that's what you truly have. Everything outside of you is that you? Does it matter? Yes, I think it's nice to live in a comfortable house. I'm grateful I get to live in a nice, comfortable place. But it's when we're attached to them, then we create that suffering. Oh, what if I don't have them? I don't want to live in a smaller house. I don't want to live in on the street. But again, what's the meaning we're putting to all that? Now, I want to give you another analogy. Yeah. So imagine a clay pot. Okay. So for most of our life, we polish the outside. So what's external, it's important, right? Eventually, we discover the value of the pot is not the clay, it's the empty space inside of it. Because that's what you can hold things, right? But when the pot breaks, we cry, we think we've lost something. But then that's when we realize the space is still always there. It's never destroyed. It's always free. And that space is you, your sacred you, your sacred self. That's the space. It's eternal. It is there, full of presence. And we suffer because we forget. We forget this. We forget that we are the space. We think we are the clay, the form, the labels, the roles. But the truth is, we are what we are. We are not the clay. We are that space, that spaciousness, the presence, the being. And that never breaks. And that's you. So the way out, I know then the next question is, but I feel this, how do I get out of this suffering? The key is not to avoid the pain. And that's what the mind does. The mind wants to avoid the pain. It creates behaviors and strategies and ways to avoid it. The way is, we probably heard this over and over and over again, is to let go of the attachment to that story. It's about acceptance. And again, acceptance doesn't mean you agree with what happened, that you approve of what happened. Acceptance it means that you no longer resist what is. And when you stop resisting, then you start to connect more to you. You stop the war inside of you. Okay. So the question is not why humans suffer. As I said with this, the question is how can we live peacefully? So instead of looking at the suffering, I want you to look at how to live peacefully. And that's a lot of my work. My work is about guiding individuals, people to find that inner peace, right? Because that's what I discover. When I understood what it means, that peace that can never be taken away, that space, and to be able to live in that place, whatever happens, all the chaos around me, it doesn't shaken that peace. And when I have that peace, I don't need the approval. I don't take on the judgment. I can share this with you. I know on today's session, we have a lot of new people. I can hear my ego too. Before we started the session, the ego went, oh my God, Rain, you gotta make sure your hair looks good. Are you wearing the right clothes? I got to tell my ego, thank you. I really get it. I don't need the approval though, right? Because I'm here just to share Spirit's wisdom, which is your wisdom. Yes, I get to share that reason is because I'm just being that vessel right now. And someone was the one that shared that information and that knowledge and that wisdom to me. And, the people that I physically seen or the unseen. And the truth is, you all have that wisdom. Okay. And sometimes it's just a bit blinded for some of us right now because we took on somebody's map. Okay. Remember the compass story. Yeah. Yeah. So coming back to the story, I had to tell that thank you for sharing, right? And I'm here just to share. And again, it's your choice what you want to take from what am I sharing. My intention is that it empowers you, it supports you to live in a better place, right? The peace that I'm talking about. That's my intention today. Because I know if each of us can live in a place where we find that inner peace, then we can create world peace. Because when we have less war here, there'll be less war outside in the world. And that's the real work. So one of the other things I wanted to share today is, well, I'll talk a bit about how to so we can live in a peace, peacefully. I do want to talk about sometimes some of us think that happiness is the key, right? That's the opposite of suffering. Like, if I can find happiness, then I have less suffering, right? And we chase that happiness. But here's the thing though. Happiness is an emotion. It's not a destination, right? You feel happy, you do something fun, you feel happy, but we don't feel happy 24/7, right? And we think, so then happiness comes like emotions, right? It comes in waves. Yeah. And happiness comes from things that give us pleasure or when we avoid pain, which we think maybe is happiness, but maybe it's not. Yeah. But if we keep chasing happiness, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, at some point we're going to set ourselves up for disappointment. Right? Because we're chasing happiness. So the key is actually not to chase happiness, is to seek. It's not to seek. Happiness is to seek peace, inner peace. Like I said, if you keep chasing for the next thing, you're going to want to find the next person who's going to love me. Then they're going to make me happy. The next achievement, then people are going to acknowledge me. That's going to make me happy. But once you get that moment, it's over, then you're going to look for the next moment. It's not going to stop. And then we keep chasing it again. And sometimes, like I said, we set ourselves up for disappointment. I think it's important too for me to put this in. I want you to do amazing thing. I'm not saying don't go for big goals, big dreams, not celebrate your wins. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is notice when it becomes a cycle of always needing the next thing so that you could feel happy. The next approval, someone approves you, you feel happy. The next chance to prove yourself, you feel happy. The next person to see finally, oh, your worth, you feel happy. Right? That's still the ego. Yeah. Because, like I said, you're already the space. You're already enough. You don't need to prove anything to be seen. You don't need to perform or please. Like, I'm not here to perform to you. Yeah. I mean, maybe my 20 years ago person, me, would want to perform so that you like me. You will, continue to come back. But that's not my goal. Okay. You're already enough. You don't need anyone's permission to be whole. You don't. Your work right now is just to remember fully. And by just being you, that's enough. Okay. So let's come back. So the point is not about chasing happiness. Like I said, it's about seeking inner peace. And that peace is so invaluable. I would not trade that for anything. Right. Because my experience has been being at peace is where I feel harmony inside here. No more tug of war, no more fighting inside here. There's balance, there's harmony. And when I'm able to be in that place, I'm able to enjoy the present, what's happening here. I'm not pulled to the past. I'm not pulled to all the regrets should have been, what if. I'm not pulled so much to the future about what if, both places. One, it's over. Yes, it happened. And what can you do about it? Well, you can do something right now. The other one's the future, which you cannot do anything. You can plan for it, but you can't really control it, right? But the beauty is when you're in this peace, you're able to just enjoy what's here. The gift, the beauty of the present moment, because that's all you have. It's really every moment, right? Because you don't know. And when you're here in this place, that harmony, you feel the joy, the love, the gratitude. And then you start to realize you have this quiet knowing that your existence matter. You start to get clarity about who you are, what's your purpose here, and what are you here to do. And to seek that peace is not about what's external, okay? It's not about all that needing to earn, needing to get approval, because you don't. You're that space and that being. And again, it's not about the resistance. So there's no resistance in this place. There's no story. It just is. And so how do you get there? Right? That's the next question, I presume, But then how do I get to that place of, peace, right? Because that's how we started. There's something you're looking for, right? And the key is to develop yourself. And that's what spirituality is. Spirituality is not all about all the woo-woo stuff, which is still real stuff. As you start to develop yourself, I won't go into this too much, but as you start to develop yourself, meaning when I say develop, you start to remember who you are, more of who you are. You start to vibrate at a different frequency. And when you start to vibrate at a different frequency, you start to connect to the unseen world. Not what you can see physically, because you're starting to vibrate, right? And then you start to connect beyond what's physical. Okay. But I'm not going to talk about that in this session today. We will leave that for other sessions. So the key is to develop yourself. And that's why we're here. One of the reasons we came here, what that is, we wanted to expand and grow. We wanted to learn, right? And like I said, that's what spirituality is. Spirituality, it's about returning home to yourself. That's what it's about. It's about moving from your conditioned self, which is, remember the map people gave you, you think that's how you're supposed to be, that conditioned self, right? That's the version of you that's shaped by expectations, fears, survival, programming, because we grew up in this environment. It's about moving from a conditioned self to your awakened self. And I presume a lot of you are here because you're at that place, right? You're already able to see. That's why you're questioning. You're questioning those stories, those attachments. You're wanting to know more. You're starting to observe and witness, right? And that's the awakened self. Yeah. And the journey is to connect, to move from your conditioned self to your awakened self, to your divine self, to your sacred self. And what is that? Divine self is the part of you that you know you are divine. That means you're beyond just this physical. You're more than the physical. You're connected to source. You are source. I know in your mind it might be harder to grasp right now. I totally get that because I went through that too, right? I get it conceptually. I don't get it. And I understand that. All I can say, as you continue to develop yourself in that journey of seeking you will get to come to understand it. So it's not about pushing or forcing that process. It's about allowing, again, no resistance. It's about accepting. Right? And eventually, as you move from the divine self, you start to see the sacred self. And the sacred self is actually no self, because then you start to realize everything is you. Okay. So I'm just going to touch a bit more and I'm going to wrap up because I want to make sure I leave some time for questions. I might have talked too much as well. So again, just to give you an idea, conditioned self is someone who chases happiness, who reacts from fear, who constantly feels not enough, and it's someone who performs for love, right? But once you reach sacred self, you embody peace, like it's just there. That's what embodiment is. You respond from presence, right? Your presence. You know your worth. You're not shaken by anything outside of you. You see everything is you. Everything. Everyone. Right? And the sacred self moves from love. It doesn't perform for love. And that's the difference. Okay. So that's what spirituality is. It's about developing you, right? Again, when I use the word developing, it's more about remembering you. Okay. So just know that you're more than your thoughts only. Even if you take a moment right now, everyone, if you just pay attention to your thoughts, if we think we are our thoughts, we're not our thoughts. You can hear many different kind of thoughts, just flitting, flying, coming through. I hear them talk, right? I used to, before even I started doing work, I thought that the thought is me, but it's not. You're more than just your thought. You're more than just your mind. You're that space, your heart, body, mind, soul, and beyond. And the key is to move towards the alignment of all parts of you from remembering. And that's how you get to understand and embody peace. And like I said, when we have more peace here, then we'll create more peace outside of us. Okay. And so that's the path. And I get, again, like I said, and again, this is my assumption. If it's not, feel free to put in the chat. You're here because you're seeking something. And like I said, you're seeking because that compass remembers. And the compass wants you to go back. Come back. This is you. Remember, this is you. And you are beyond what your mind can comprehend at this moment. I get it. But you are really everything. Beauty, power, love, joy, all of that. And since you're here, meaning so you're already on that path. And once you get to embody that, then you start to, like I said, you start to have clarity about your mission and your purpose here. And that's what you're here to fulfill. That's it. Okay, I think I'm just going to stop here for now. I would like to take a quick short break. I know I might shed a lot. You might have questions. I do have some people send me some questions prior to the session where I would like to also address. But before I do that, I would like to just take a moment for you to sit with some of the stuff I talked about, listen to the music, and connect. Okay, connect again how we started to your heart, the source, which is you, your wisdom, and then we'll open up to the Q&A session. welcome back. So I want to use this session to open up for questions. So if you have a question, you can either raise your hand or type in the chat. I think I'll be happy to answer if you have any questions. I'm going to leave that for now. I mean, ask your question because I do have some other questions from different individuals who send it to me, like I said, prior to the session. And we'll see if I have time to answer those too. So feel free to raise your hand.
Question and sharing, right? Okay.
Yes.
Maybe I will share what I get first, and I think it will lead a bit to my question. I mean, this session has been quite emotional. I think because all of what you're saying, it feels like a remembrance, right? Because it's already in us. I think what I'm getting is I now know inner peace and I can feel inner peace, which is good. And what I'm getting is when I am attached to inner peace, when I am like, okay, I have to return to inner peace all the time. And if I'm not feeling inner peace, that is wrong, then that's where I create another story, another suffering. So I think that's what I see in myself because I often tell people that I'm addicted to inner peace because now that there's no pain, now that I'm in this space, I'm like, why wouldn't I want to stay in this space forever? And I feel inner peace forever. But I think the concept of peace equal no pain, that also is already kind of create a suffering because human, we have emotion, there will be pain, and when loss happen, there will be grief and all that, we might see that as pain. And if I have those perception of if peace equals no pain, then that's also will create disappointment, will create suffering. Then I will start thinking like, hey, why, how come I'm feeling this way again? Why is this happening to me again? So I think I'm getting all that, which is very, it serves as a very good reminder for me. And I also get that whenever I want to return to inner peace, it comes with grief too. Then I think what I'm getting is because I need to grieve what I am letting go of and what I want to let go. And those things meant something for me, right? It used to mean so much to me. And now that I'm learning that okay, all this actually it doesn't really matter. Now I'm letting all go. That will comes with grief also. That I need to grieve that now I'm really letting go. Now I'm really like okay with I don't have this kind of thing. So that's what I am also getting. Um yeah, and I think this month I also play around with peace a bit, and I just want to share that when I create from a place of peace, I realize that I create more peace. So whenever there is pain, then it's about accepting the pain, then I will come back to peace. So it affirms on me when you share just now the resistance is what creates suffering. So I think it's really, really just accepting I will have those emotions. There will be pain, and because we are human, we're bound to have some attachment and all those. If we can just accept that, everything will just lead back to ourself and inner peace. So that's what I got. And my question is, when we look at war, when we look at people suffering, we will feel something, right? We will feel a lot of grief. We might feel anger, like why is war happening? We'll feel all that. So with what you are sharing just now is to accept all these emotions. So we will feel anger, we will feel grief, we'll feel sadness for the country, for the people. And in the midst of that, then we might have the thoughts of like, okay, I want to do something about it. I want to see how can I contribute, how can I support, how can I spread more love so that I can support those people. I guess my question is more so I'm curious on how do you usually do it? Do we just when we see that happen, we just feel and then we just see what can we do. And when you come to a place of okay, that yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Like, do you go about like, okay, those are not suffering or like um I'm not sure of how I want to ask the question. I guess it's just for me because like I'm now experiencing all this right when I see things happen, on the news and all. So mm,
Thank you, Ichi, first of all, for your insights, right? Your awareness, your I can hear in your sharing, you know, your ability to, the awareness that you have and your insights. A couple of things you mentioned, the piece that you're talking about, and great awareness for noticing that you're seeking, right? Which I talk about happiness because there's so much topic about, you know, books about happiness, right? And absolutely true. If you're looking for that moment of peace that you talked about, which is connected to pain. So thank you for saying that, because it gives me a little bit more depth to explain to you. The peace that I'm talking about is unshakable. It's a foundation, like that groundedness of that inner peace that I'm talking about is just there to hold you. Okay. When you tap into that inner peace, it has that capacity to allow you to then whatever chaos, whatever that's going on, you know, if they think like there's this storm happening, it doesn't move it. That storm, you observe it, you allow it, you accept there's a storm there. And which then connect to, let's say you talk about that's where the acceptance comes in, right? Accepting what is. And so when what's happening in the world, you know, when you feel that grief, like I feel grief sometimes, yeah. Uh, uh, Sometimes, as in what I mean by sometimes the grief of what's happening in the world do come through me, and then I used to channel them through me, yeah, as a vessel. The thing is, this is when you have that foundation, that peace that holds you. And again, yes, we are human being, we have emotions and all that. It's about allowing that process to go through, that grief, that loss, that whatever is going on. Anger, I know you mentioned about anger. Then here's where we anger, right, is because we are not happy with something, right? Or if you look at anger a little bit more deeper, anger is the flip side of passion, something that you want, but you're not getting. So when it comes to anger, you might want to take a bit of a step deeper to look at, is there actually an attachment there? Why I'm angry? What's creating the anger? Does that make sense, Ichi?
Yes, yes. I think it makes a lot of sense for me, and I think I can make sense to my situation also.
Right? So because we're like, they shouldn't have done that. They should have been that way.
Yeah,
Why are they doing that? Right?
yeah, yeah. For
That
example, if I think like kids should be cherished, kids shouldn't be suffering, kids shouldn't be punished in any way. Yeah, because they are innocent, right? So that's what's underneath the anger. Because that's what I want.
you can empathize, right? Empathy, because human, we have empathy. That's what, you know, that's how we express love and compassion. One of the ways, right? Compassion by definition, love in action. And you can have empathy. You want to support, do your best, right? Shift their environment, their condition. Yet, yeah, that anger. And then that attachment, if we have, right, to the expression is where you want to see, you know, do the work, let go, right? Yeah, let go. And then the other thing too, and I touch a bit about vibration just now and frequency. And as you do the work, you start to let go more of the lower frequency stuff, right? And as you start to vibrate at a higher frequency, each one of us start to vibrate at that frequency, our frequencies and vibration will start to impact the world too. It will start to shift the global consciousness. So individual consciousness, we are connected, right? We're not disconnected. So that itself too will impact and shift what's happening. And that we are seeing that. I mean, humanity is at the choice point right now, you know, where uh, well, I want to be very mindful what I say here because I don't want to put something on all your minds. I think I do believe very strongly we have the capacity as all of us to shift how and all the energies and all the lowest energies and vibration together. Right? And it does start with our individual work. And that's why the work of peace. Less war inside, less war outside. Did I answer all your questions? Because I know you said a couple of things. So I wanted to address them.
Yeah, I think you gave me a very strong foundation of understanding around the peace. So I think that kind of answer all my question. Like I like that you say when you have that peace holding you. So it gives me a bit distinction on when I'm feeling peace. Again, like it's more so like the emotion, like happiness. There's a peace that I'm feeling. But what you're talking about, the inner peace is the foundation of what's holding us. And when you say that, I can feel how unshakable, how grounded, and how that will kind of really hold you. And yeah, it's kind of like a belief, right? So it's very grounded and very powerful. Yeah, powerful was the word that I was finding. So yeah, so that gave me a bit more of the distinction of what I'm feeling. So now I think I'm still more on the like the emotion part. So then to see that the inner peace is always there and it's there to hold me, then while I am feeling all this emotion, then I will feel more grounded. And on the world part and on the anger part also, I do see how I do still have attachment because my passion, like you say, anger opposite is passion. My passion is for kids, but then the attachment will come from I want kids to have a good life. I think that they should be, having all the good in the world. That's my attachment. Yeah, so then just accepting that there are this happening, and plus we also believe that there's the journey they are meant to be on, right? So that there's a second part. And then for the third part, also the one that you say from inside and not outside. So that gave me a lot of I think assurance, because the next question I wanted to ask is more so like, because you also want to create, right, a world that works 100% for humanity. And I'm thinking like, if we don't have that attachment, and how, like, where does it drive us to want to create that? But I think from what you just shared, I can feel like it's from inside. It's believing again that we are all connected, we are all one. So if we believe that we can create a world 100% that works for 100% of humanity. So we come from that belief, and then we work on ourselves, and then we have that inner peace, and together that will also raise up their vibration already, because we are all connected, right? So not so much on what I want to do to make sure that they don't suffer, to support them, to really like help them, that kind of feeling. So that's more external. So I think, yeah, that's what I got, and I think that's huge for me to take. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your question. Yeah. So it's it's, while there's a lot of the doing part, it's also our being that raised the consciousness, right? And we are seeing it. I mean, we are at the time. Reason I'm hosting this call, you see, you can hear it, you see that, right? The growth and the shift that's happening. Yeah, the awakening that's happening. We witnessed it. We're seeing that, right? And the more of us doing it, the world is going to shift. I do believe it. And one of the things that you talked about, those who know me, I know my purpose here is to share, the wisdom. At the same time, is to empower each one of you, that to know that you're sovereign, like to remember who you are. And I do believe that we can create a world that works for all, right? I know it's big, it sounds very audacious, like for all, really? Again, we are the one that creates the meaning in our life, right? And you can choose to create a meaning that drains you and tires you out, or you can choose one that empowers you, right? And this is where I want to link to. I talk about some of the human needs, right? Some of the fundamental human needs, which is our fundamental is we got to feel safe first, and then we got to feel belonging and love. Then you move up, right? And then you start to look at the other needs. I do believe that as we start, and this is if you've studied some of the different psychology teachers, Abraham Maslow, his model is slightly different from mine. Because over the years of, again, doing my work and studying different things and my own experiences, I added a couple more different needs, on top of his. But let's just use his concept. He talked about self-actualization, right? I know when I first learned this in university, I'm like, the heck is self-actualization? I don't get it, right? Yet, once you really have some of these fundamental needs met, I do believe innately we all are here on this planet, we are wired to want to contribute, to do good, right? You see it naturally. We want to do that. It's just that circumstances, conditioning, our environment, right, shifts how we look at stuff. And then that's why sometimes people operate from fear instead of their core essence, which is love. And then you see all these other things that's happening outside in the world, right? And fundamentally, I do believe that we innately want to contribute to each other. We want to support each other. And that's what drives me right now. So thank you, Ichi, for your question. Allows me to share a little bit more about, different things. Okay, anyone else? Walter. Walter, I know you had a question. You wanted to ask me something for a while already.
Well, this is actually just a bit of sharing. Well, what I'm getting from all this is also, I believe for me in my life, compassion is a huge role to play when you receive that inner peace. The war that's out there, for me, in the past, there was a lot of fighting the system. There was a lot of chaos. I realized that a lot of that was internal. Finding that, inner peace in those moments of silence, of meditation, um, this new feeling of compassion started coming up. Compassion towards not just myself, but for humanity and even for Mother Nature, for those ones who are not able to speak and use their voice. And I realized that the best way to help them is doing the inner work and meditating. Meditating and also, as you say, developing, self-developing. That really hit hard for me. It's an understanding and also that compassion is a very big thing that's also comes along with the personal growth. And once you hit that level of compassion, you're able to, for me, I'm able to see beyond. So to know that there would be no light if there was no darkness, and there would be no darkness if there was no light. So seeing it from both sides, it it teaches me that everything has a purpose. And so because of that purpose on what they're fulfilling, what's being fulfilled, it allows me to receive that compassion, which therefore also brings me peace to do what I can do at my best. Um, my question is, how does one discern the peace with compassion and chaos that's outside and internal?
Can you clarify that again, Walter?
So the compassion that we have within ourselves, that's for us. Sometimes, for example, for me, it's like, is it compassion that I'm having on the way that I've seen things overall, or is it compassion that I'm truly having for other people, for the world? How can you distinguish the both?
Well, I do believe everything around us, it's a mirror, right? And as you start to develop more compassion for yourself, it will reflect back out. And then what's outside will start to reflect to tell you as well. Because if you our world, I don't know if you've heard of this, they said that we are like a hologram. You know how holograms created is kaleidoscope, like they're all the same thing. It gets duplicated many times to create a hologram, right? And so for me, it's and when I say it's a mirror, pay attention to the reflection, what it's reflecting back to you. it's what's telling you. Does that make sense, Walter? Yes?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So collectively too, the world that's happening outside, it's a reflection of each one of us. And that's why also the awakening right now to shift that. And the good thing is now we have internet, we have all these tools, so that we are seeing the awakening. It's starting to move really quickly right now. And yeah. You mentioned something about compassion. I wanted to write down, I forgot because there was something I wanted to address. Anyway, when it comes back. I know you wanted to ask me something too for a while, Walter.
Yeah, there was a few things that I had asked. I think I wrote on the Telegram group, and just as certain questions came up, it's funny because you did answer one of them earlier that I had written down, which is how does someone remember their soul purpose? And you answered by saying developing and self-developing, and that hits. Maybe you can help me with a lot, like clarifying that more. So self-developing, what practices can one use to self-develop?
I mean, again, many cultures, many religion talk about meditation, and we wonder. Like, I'm someone who cannot sit and meditate so much. I'm a kind of those who walk and meditate and connect, but that itself, it's really powerful because you start to quiet the mind down, right? You start to quiet your body down because our body and mind all has memories, and that's sometimes that's what give the distraction and the internal war, right, resistance, all that stuff starts to come in our maybe in our way. Yeah. So meditation itself, I think it's really important. And again, I don't think meditation needs to be something where you just sit and breathe and connect. Because for some people, actually it heightens their brain voice more, right? We're all different. So I think it's important to find a way that works for you. Like for me, music is very important, very powerful. And so the music that you heard today, it's my way of connecting back to me, remembering spirit. And when you allow and you drop into that, then more will come true, right? And that's the simplest way I can suggest. And at the same time, you talk about the light and darkness just now. So darkness is absence of light, right? And so it's not about good or bad. They all exist for a purpose, exactly as you said. And the other thing I think is just to notice, right? Some of the conditioned self, the things that we've been conditioned to do, told to do, how to operate, that's part of the other work. I think it's to, again, it's not about judging those parts. It's not about, oh yeah, I'm a people pleaser. I shouldn't be doing that. Now, once you do the shouldn't, you're attached, right? It's about, okay, I'm that way, accept, right? What would I like to do with that? How can I shift that? How can I do something differently? And of course, those of you who have done my work, who attend my programs, and those who have not, I work a lot around belief systems, right? Because from the years of my own experiences and understanding, our beliefs really create how we think, yeah, how our point of view is, how we perceive things, and then that basically this affects how we decide, make our decisions, and then impact our results, right? So the key is also to shift your belief system. And that's why a lot of my work is around belief system, because for me is how to shift that, then we can create world peace through your inner peace is what I want to achieve. So Walter, meditation for some of us is walking meditation with nature. For you, I know fire will be very meditative, right? Connection. That's for me the most simplest way and very powerful. Or just breathing, breath. I don't know if you've experienced this and the rest of you are listening. You know, sometimes when you listen to music, you just feel like you're connected to something bigger than you. When you're outside walking to nature, just suddenly you just feel this feeling of awe and wonder, right? That connection. It's always there. It's just that we get distracted.
That's part of the practice to help one remember.
Yeah.
Love it. I do remember another question. However, I'm very mindful of the time, and it may go a little deep, and that's the loop of life, the loop of life and death. And I was into a very deep thought of that, trying to understand what does that mean to be born here, to die, and then, as some of us believe, you're back again. And it's almost like a loop that we're in order to fulfill purpose, one may say. And what I feel, and this is a question also, or just a talk, is fulfilling purpose, carrying on generational things with us, whether it be, the practices we've done or possibly even um, mistakes that we've done along the way, and we carry on to this life. To me, is it the purpose of remembering, and that way we break out of that loop so we can finally go home? And what is home? Is that our dimension? Is that our planet necessary, or is that, back to source? Which, to me, it's somewhere deep inside says, if we, with all of this baggage that we carry over lifetimes, were to present ourselves in front of a source, we would fail to exist because it's so pure. So in order for us to go back, it almost seems like it's out of compassion that we're in this loop. In order for us, it just, I went so deep into this thought. I was like, okay, what is this going on in here? So I just wanted to hear your opinion on that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean I sit and ponder about all these questions too, you know. And so I'll share with you my insight. But let's start with the why do we come here, right? I see it as a school. I see this planet as a school. So imagine, you're to think about our school system. I don't like our school system, but just think about the concept. Okay, so there are junior kindergarten, a senior kindergarten, and you have elementary school, then you have high school, then you have university, right? Postgraduate. So Earth is one of the schools here. I mean, and our soul, if you think in a human sense, you're going to a school, right? So you've gone to a junior kindergarten school. For some of us, we might see, well, I my perception is this is a tough school. So it's just because as a human being, we have a lot of emotions. So how do you navigate emotion? Your emotions are guiding compass, right? Body, memory, our mind, yet it's a school we come here to expand ourselves, our soul, our divine self, which is also expanding the sacred self, which is no self, which is the source. Because if you look at, my belief is we are the creator and we like to create, right? And part of creation is through growth and expansion. So we came to this school to learn, to grow, to expand. I do believe we design kind of about what we want to experience here. It doesn't fully go exactly because once we come here, you wiped off a lot of how you were designing, right? Of course, because you don't want to bring all that stuff into this life, then you cannot really live this life, right? So you're here to experience so that you can grow your choices, really understanding what, for me, we're here to experience love as well. Yeah, to expand in that, to grow in that. So how do you grow in that? Is your ability to forgive, ability to forgive a perpetrator in your life, like all that. So I do believe we're here to expand and grow. That's one of the why we chose this planet. Now, you talk about, is there a home? I think that's a great question, because I think there are different teachings that talks about once you've gone through a couple of lifetimes, you've moved up to a level of enlightenment, you don't necessarily need to come back here. There are also different teachings where now, the Bodhisattva path, where you've gone to a level of, your soul is elevated to a level of understanding and capacity. You come back to support the other souls in their learning journey, kind of like a mentor or a teacher in school. Like you come to this school, you're teaching, let's help these little kids, move along. Let's go to the next step and the next step, right, in the expansion. Yeah. And if you think about, I hope I'm not jumping too far. And if I am, tell me. I do want to connect this part first. So I see, for example, if it's easier to grasp, right? So I have the school concept, the teacher concept, you got that, right? But if the source concept, I like to use the body. The body has many cells. Each of us is the little cells, but you're also part of the whole. Now, the whole is not limited. Of course, in this world, the 3D, like there's a boundary, right? My hand, this is the extra. But source is, so we are source too. And so we want to grow and expand and experience, right? So for me, is there a home? I think home is always there. There's not a home you're going to. It's just that sometimes, because we came here, we chose to experience a certain way. In order to ensure that we are experiencing what we intend to experience here, we don't bring some of the memories. Yes, along the way, how come some of the memories start to surface? Some people ask me, but I start to connect to my past life or another lifetime in another planet, right? Yeah, but the intent is for you to bring what you intend to do in this lifetime. It's not to get stuck and connected to that past life, like I used to be that way, or I'm a warrior, or I'm a princess, or I'm whatever. It's what's that gift, a lesson you learned here, you can use here so that you can empower yourself and the people and whatever that journey is here. That's what you have designed to come here to do. Now, I did say not all the time your journey is how you plan it. Because when we came here, we come with not remembering. And so sometimes because of the not remembering, our choices, our condition, our environment might have overwhelmed us a little bit. But that nudge that I talked about, that compass is what's wanting to call you. Hey, you're kind of moving a bit away. Remember, you're supposed to be here. That's what you wanted to do. That's what that nudge do. So for me, that home, that not needing to, you're already home. You just don't remember. That's what I see. I don't see a world as, well, there's a belief of like other, the Bodhisattva path I talked about, right? That, they come back to support. I don't see it as an hierarchy. I don't see it as, I know there's talks about different dimension, different growth. I don't see it as a hierarchy. I see as more our capacity and our ability, right? So for example, I'm here because I've done some of the work. I'm not better than you. I'm not extraordinary than you. It's just that because I have that experience, I can explain it to you. I can support you. I can guide you. So you don't fall into some of the things that, mistakes that I made. But again, it's your choice, right? So I do believe the beings that come back to support us, and this I'm going to connect to Elia's question after that she sent before the session. I do believe that while everything seems still separate, but we are still connected and it's still all us. I know that's the irony of it. So that's why you're home. Does it make sense?
Yes.
I know I said a lot of stuff inside.
No, it actually, almost exactly like what came to my mind afterwards. After asking, I went into deep thought, deep meditation on it. And one of the questions that came up to me in my head was, well, what would you say to your creator if you were to meet him tomorrow? And if the creator were to ask you, did you enjoy life? The truth is, I got to experience everything. I got to experience love, pain. I got to experience fatherhood. I got to experience taste, listening to good music, affection. I got to experience everything. So my answer would be, it was fun to experience everything. What really set everything in very good perspective for me is to just do my best while I'm here. That way I will live with no regrets. Just do my best at everything. And if my best may not be the best for someone else, so be it, but it's for me. And that's what gives me an experience of living life. It's just experiencing everything. And it's what you, alongside with what you said, it's everything that we carried all the time, like where we're from or different realms or everything, but it's here and now. It's here. What are you experiencing right now? And I believe that everything that we've gone through, whether it be in another lifetime or in another dimension, it is a tool to help us remember and also a tool to help us push or get through, you know, and it at times it may seem more fun to use these tools along the way.
Yeah, just like the teacher has a little bit more experience so they can guide the students, right? But it doesn't mean the teacher is better, the student is less. It's just
Mhm.
different experiences, different understanding, different um embodiment, right? I think embodiment's a big thing. Yeah. Understanding something at a conceptual level and embodying is a whole different thing. Um, I know one of the things that I just realized you asked about, how do you discover your mission? I think this is important to share. That nudges will guide you to the next step. I think, while there's this bigger vision or dream, or maybe there's something you want to do, follow those nudges and you start to learn to hear them, like your intuition. Yeah. Um, don't get attached. Attachment is such a big thing. Sometimes we're so attached to this one thing, and we keep, even the nudges is nudging us towards here, but at some point maybe it's going to nudge us turn right. And that's how my life has been, right? Have I dreamt to be a spiritual teacher? No. I've dreamt to be first I started with, I want to be a CEO of a international company, right? Then I said, okay, that doesn't work. I want to be an entrepreneur. Great. And then it took me a whole different path, right? And the thing is to listen to those nudges and not get attached to that's the only way and that's the only thing, right? And as you learn to follow those nudges, more and more clarity will come. The clarity comes from two things. One is clarity of you're knowing that you're heading the directions, you get feedback, and also clarity of, that is actually really what I don't like, right? So then you move towards. But the key I want to talk about is don't get attached. And that's how we were talking about suffering. It's about accepting. And you talk about experiences. We come here to experience, yeah? And again, it's about not judging our experiences. And that's where we resist. Why am I feeling this way? I shouldn't be feeling this way. Or how come I'm going through that? Right. The key is, and am I able to just accept this is what's happening? Yeah, if I'm feeling emotions around it, allow it. I'm feeling pain, not fear the pain, not avoid the pain, not fear the fear. It's about, okay, then how do you move beyond it? And some of you might have learned ways to do it. There might be tools, or you might seek. If not, that's where you want to kind of equip yourself more. Like how else do I feel this pain? I don't know what to do with it. What can I do with it? That's what I did, right? I started feeling my life was very dissatisfied. I was very dissatisfied in my life. I have a PhD. I got married. I have kids, but I'm not happy, right? So I wanted to find out what's missing. How can I move beyond this? And I know that's part of the reason you're here. all of you. And so, yeah, so then maybe if you don't, it's about reaching out to get support, learning the ways to move. And I shared some about breath and all that. That's the key. It's acceptance is such a big learning. It's not about resisting and not about attaching. Okay. And yes, life is fun. I talk about this, you can think, I use this analogy a lot. Those I've heard, have been to my sessions. You think about planet Earth, I said, you're here to learn. It's like a school. At the same time, it's like a theme park. That's the analogy I like to use, right? If you go to a theme park, some days you want to go to those big, scary roller coaster, right? I mean, if you're going to a theme park right now, you're asking yourself, why do I want to go to that roller coaster? It's so hard, but you go on it, right? Like, I want to feel it, right? But that's
The adrenaline.
Right? You're here to experience. You're curious. How would it feel like if I drop? It's so scary. Okay, after that, it comes out, right? So you're just going on different rides. But the key is, you want to resist and keep fighting, which takes a lot of energy. Or it's like, okay, I'm going to enjoy this ride. Because this is the ride I'm in right now. The next one, I'm in one of the other rides. I haven't been to Wonderland for a bit. So roller coaster, Ferris wheel, I don't know, right? Different rides, different experiences. So that's the analogy I like to use. Planet Earth is like this theme park, and then you meet people there, different kind of people.
Yeah, it's funny, some people will go through a whole theme park and not want to experience one ride because to them it may seem so scary. Or for me, say for example, for me it used to be very scary. I was scared of heights. I didn't want to do it, and or even jumping off the cliffs to go into the water, the bodies of water. It was so scary. The moment I faced that fear and I jumped off, hit the water, come back up, I felt so alive. I was like, what was this? It's just like I had accomplished so much in just one leap of faith, to explore, and was it worth it? Absolutely. It was worth it. And I'm not going to be doing it all the time, but it was worth it to try it once at least.
Yeah, it's like right now I don't want to go on a roller coaster, right? I used to want to experience all the roller coasters, standing
Yeah.
on the backward ones. Wow, oh, so cool, right? But it's like, okay, I've done those, I've experienced it, got it, right? I've learned. The key is when you're on it, it's about being present to the experience, right? And not going to, I shouldn't have. Why am I here? Right, all that stuff. And yeah, and then you enjoy. And here's the thing for me, and the experience is what carries, it's what we have. I asked you that question, what do you truly have? And that stays with this. That's why everything external, all the material stuff, I know it's so cliche, right? I'm talking about spiritual, all the material stuff is not, it doesn't. But however, when you really look at it, it doesn't. We have been conditioned to think if you have a home or you have a certain kind of job, it means you're better or you're good, you're accepted, you belong, you're loved, you're worthy. All stories. And the goal is, how do we let go of those stories? That's part of the work.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank
Maybe
you.
at some point we can jump into the God of Espinoza on another meeting.
Yeah, that one I like. Okay, maybe that's a good one for the next session. I just want to, okay, thanks, Walter. I do have one question, question that came in that I want to address because this question was already asked a couple of months ago when I had a spiritual session that time and I didn't get to address. So is there any difference between spiritual guidance and inner wisdom or inner knowing? So I want to answer that question today. And those of you who are here for the first time, Maybe Zach, we can figure out a way that they can send in questions so that they can be addressed in the later sessions that I'll be hosting. Is there a difference? So here's the paradox. You've been hearing me say it, right? You get to a point where that everything is you. So the answer yes and no. Yes, in the sense that I do believe, and it has been my experience, that there are beings that comes and want to guide. They not in the physical form. They don't have a physical form. Again, they have things that they've learned through their own soul evolution, their experiences. They're here. They want to share. They're here to guide you, to support you. In fact, some of them you might have made agreements with them already too before you came here, as well. So there are that beings around. I have quite a few of them that supports me. At the same time, what they are tapping in, it's also what you are able to tap in. That's why a lot of my work is called heart and wisdom. When you're connected to your heart, you're connected to that wisdom, which is from source, right? And so the inner guidance and inner knowing is always there. It's just, again, it's about taking away all that noises, all that noise and all that stuff, all that conditioning, to be able to hear that guidance clearly, right? And again, with the beings, while they are separate from you, they're also you, actually. Remember, everything's a reflection, everything's a mirror. And you're all connected. Nothing is separated. Nothing. Right? So that's the answer, yes and no. Okay. I am mindful of the time. I want to do this for an hour and a half. Yeah. Zach, maybe there's a way if they can send in some questions. I like to answer questions. If you notice, I find it makes it more fluid. Every time I'll pick a topic to share. Yeah, last time I shared about what is real. Actually, there's a lot more in that topic to talk about too. What is really real? Yeah. And my intention is to do this once a month. It's open. Feel free to invite your friends, family, if you're curious, if they're interested to learn more. My intention, like I said, is to support, and I know very clear this is part of my purpose here. I'm gonna ask Zach to kind of figure out a way. We didn't figure this out beforehand. If you want to send questions, how do you do that prior? Okay. So let's before we go, I would like to just again take a moment for you to let's connect to yourself again. I want you to leave with just this connection to you, to each other, and to your knowing. Just stay on for a moment, listen to the music while I'm just going to guide you to a very simple process. And close your eyes.
I'm allowing me to be me.
As you close your eyes, I want you to listen to the lyrics.
Me to be free.
As you take in those words, I want you to really feel it in your body. As you breathe in, same thing, connect to your heart. As you breathe in, seeing light coming through the top of your head, connecting to your heart, connecting to source, and feeling the words of the song.
I'm allowing, easily allowing all my dreams to be in the right timing. I'm allowing me to
And if you do feel some emotion, it's okay, yeah? Allow yourself to feel it.
me to be free. I'm allowing my worth. I'm allowing my brilliance. I'm allowing my
Oh, blessings of joy, blessings of peace, blessings of love, blessings of knowing to each one of you, knowing that you're amazing. You're me, I'm you, you're us, we're all. And for those of you who are going to bed soon, may your dreams be blessed with joy, insight, clarity, and rest. And for those of you who are half a day or the rest of your day, blessings also for you to create magical experiences today, knowing wonder and magic is always around you, and connecting to you at a much deeper level, each one of you. Yeah. And for those of you who are Seeds Community, a Sacred Healing, Sacred Wisdom School, I love for you to, in the Telegram group, please share your insights, what you got. It's important for me. Your sharing allows me to see, what I'm sharing is valuable or not. Or is there anything that I would like to share for change? So I would appreciate that. Okay, everyone, have a blessed, 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 magical day and magical dreams. All right, I'll see you in the next one, which is in a month's time, everybody. Thank you for being here and thank you for being you. Bye.